All right, Gamecock fans, are we past panic mode yet? Judging by Twitter, no, we're not. We're not past panic mode uh, with our team and the way they played this weekend. Even though we won 38-10, there's still some misconceptions out there. People are still talking about offensive stats, and we went over this in yesterday's video. Guys, you had 2 punt returns for touchdowns, which we take, but you lose 2 offensive possessions. And you got some guys out there that I think I want to talk about some guys that made plays in the game that we don't normally talk about because they're not normally in the game. Referencing guys like, Demon Clowney came out, played like a beast. Quay Dodd with a sack. Des U in causing havoc in there, a sack also. These are guys that we haven't really seen a lot out of. So they got in the game. They got some reps. We know we're thin at defensive end, so getting a lot of those guys in was very important in this team. Some other guys catching passes like Dre Jacobs and Mazio got more involved this week. Those are the type of things we really needed to see happen, right? I know we're still frustrated and we try to blame everything on the offensive line, but now you go back and you look at the game again and there were some opportunities for plays out there and you know what? Sellers ain't Superman all the time. He made some mistakes in that game too on some of his throws. It's tough. I'm a construction worker, and I'm going to talk about the rain delay. When I go to work in the mornings and I have all my crews out there and we're ready to go to work, and I live in Florida, you're allowed to have rain at any time. So if you go to work and you can't start work for about 2.5 hours, it drags your mood down because you get up in the morning, you have your coffee, you get your shower, you're ready to go to work, and then you get there and you can't. And I remember Sellers making a comment like he likes early football games. He likes to get up, he likes to go, he likes to get ready, he likes to start football. Well, not only was it a late game, it was a later game due to the rain. Did that affect him some? If that's yeah, maybe it is. Trying to stay hyped. How much energy did you burn getting hyped and then having to sit and wait? We say, well, they're young kids. They still should have energy and all that stuff. It don't matter who it happens to, man. It is draggy when you have to sit and wait. And I'm not a very patient person. If I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go. And a lot of these kids the same way. You up? You ready? You ready to go? Hey, and then all of a sudden you can't go. I compared it to, people were talking about Lenore Sellers and maybe the game plan for him, and it didn't look like we let him run the ball very much, and why should you? Here's the thing, you would call Shane Beamer a flat idiot. If you put Sellers back out there just trying to get yards or this Heisman talk stuff, y'all would have a absolute conniption fit and crucify Shane Beamer had he sent Lenore Sellers back out there and then he got injured. I refer to it as the Friday Night Lights. Y'all, anybody watch that movie? Remember the quarterback. I meant the running back. Remember Boo? Got hurt when the other kid forgot to get his helmet, didn't have his helmet, could go in the field, goes out and gets a knee injury. That's what I'm talking about. You don't want these guys getting hurt when it's not necessary for them to be in a football game. They could have went out there and scored more. Hell, we could have scored in the fourth quarter. Beamer was ready to get out of there. He told all y'all that. I think everybody was ready to get out of there. How do you get the clock to continue running? You run the football. You hand it off. If you make throws and they're incomplete, it stops the game. They were ready to go. They wanted to get out of that game. And with reason, you won't rest. You want to be rested up. South Carolina does practice on Sundays. They'll go back in and look at film and that type of stuff. So you want to get back because you got to get ready for Vanderbilt, who went out and in the fourth quarter really dominated Virginia Tech, who we played in week 1. And you look at that, oh, shit, Vandy kicked their ass, and we kind of struggle with them. Hey, that's facts. I didn't really look at the second half of the Vandy Virginia Tech game, so I don't know if there was some turnovers in there that happened. What happened? Virginia Tech maybe just folded. Who knows? But a lot of teams that had weather issues drug this week. I think LSU was one of those that had some weather problems. I don't know about Georgia. Maybe they had some delays. I really didn't watch Georgia play Austin Peay. I'm not going to lie. There was nothing that motivated me to sit down and watch Georgia play Austin Peay. I really didn't watch that much of LSU, just a touch, because they played Louisiana Tech. There was nothing about that game that made me want to watch it either. That's the problem with week 2. There's some games in there you're just like, why am I watching that? I'll be honest, if I wasn't a South Carolina fan, I probably wouldn't have watched South Carolina play South Carolina State. Especially there were some good games, though. Mississippi State, basically, I think Mississippi State had the game of the week for the SEC. Came out big time, beating Arizona State. Only 2 teams in the SEC lost last week, and one of them was had to, right? Ole Miss and Kentucky. Somebody had to lose that game. But Ole Miss didn't look that great against Kentucky. We got Kentucky coming up. So I kind of watched that game, but I'm going to watch it a little bit more. But Ole Miss always struggles. Actually, that was one of my I took Kentucky plus the 9.5. Ole Miss only beat them by, 7? Something like that. Yeah. So, I look, we ain't making no more excuses for the team. I think we see a lot of things change this week. I think we see a lot of different play calls. I think you have to let Lenoris be Lenoris. I made a reference in a comment on Inside the Gamecocks today in the comment section about remember Secretariat for us older people. We remember Secretariat and just running away with the Kentucky Derby, right? And the jockey didn't hold him back no matter how much lead he got. And that's how I think you got to think with Lenore Sellers. I can't hold him back. I can't restrain him. When he's going, let him go. I think he's so much better when we use tempo. When he's not really having to sit there and process your moving, because I think it just gets him in rhythm. I think it's tempo, tempo, tempo. And I don't think we ran tempo that much the other night because we really couldn't get a lot started. But, that last drive with the touchdown to Jacobs, they were doing those short throws, kind of got him in rhythm. And then all of a sudden, people sucked up to the line, and hell, you went over the top. And we saw that the first drive against Virginia Tech, just getting in rhythm, tempo. And to me, I think Sellers is better in tempo. Some people might tell me I'm crazy or whatever else. It just seems to me he gets in a better rhythm when we run tempo. But it also helps your offensive lineman, because a lot of times you can catch these defenses not set. They're not seeing what we're doing. They're not having the ability to make these defensive shifts and that kind of stuff. So the more you keep them in tempo, the less they can kind of move around and adjust to your offense. So I think we see a lot of tempo. I think there's some tricks in the bag that South Carolina has not pulled out so far this season, and you're going to see it against Vandy. Everybody's just down on South Carolina because all we're thinking about is offense. The offense is so bad. Offense. Man, don't forget, we have a defense and we have a special teams that are really playing well right now. I know Beamer was kind of down in his after-game press conference about some guys being banged up. Thought we were going to have more energy. Sounded like by his teleconference last night, a lot of those weren't as bad as we thought. Sounds like we'll have all our guys back this week. Maybe 1 or 2. I think sound like Brady Hunt may be questionable for this week. I'm assuming that means Judge Collier's back too, because he said all the guys. So I'm assuming Kilgore's back. Cisse, all those guys will be back in that room. So how do you handle Diego Pavia? We'll do a better breakdown on this game, but I think we know our game plan from last year, right? Run him around, get him out of his comfort zone. He's not a bad passer of the ball. He's not the greatest either. He's better on the move, and they ran the ball really well against Virginia Tech. And they do option plays, they do window dressing and all that stuff. But we contained all that. We know what they do because we saw it last year. Maybe they thrown a few things in there. But I think they stick with their strength, and that's Pavia's legs, that's getting out of and creating some space in their running game, running on the perimeter of the defense. Vandy's not a run up the middle type team. And I did see some clips of the Virginia Tech game in the first half. But that's what they tried to do, right? That's how they kind of made their comeback, is getting on the perimeter of Virginia Tech's defense and not allowing them to put pressure on Pavia because you don't know where he's going, running some option stuff I saw. But I think South Carolina has one advantage, a bit bigger advantage than a lot of people are thinking about or giving credit to. It's the speed at linebacker. It's the speed in the DB room. Virginia Tech does not have the speed on defense like South Carolina has. You got to make the tackles. When you get there, you got to secure the tackles and make the tackles. I don't think South Carolina's been that bad against the run. You get hit every once in a while. I saw one decent run by South Carolina State. It was just the running back made a good move. There was a hole there. He give a dead leg, went to the right and gained a few more yards. A couple of the catches by South Carolina State. There was one, I think it was Stewart right in the face, or one of our defense guys right in the face at a quarterback from South Carolina State, and he just kind of threw it up and almost like a bubble pass, and somehow the wide receiver caught the football between two of our guys. But it was kind of crazy. But I just want to let people know I'm not hitting the panic button. I still think we have the, unless we make mistakes, we're at home. We had that atmosphere. It's at night. We have the speed. We have the better players overall. They have some good players. I'm not saying their players are terrible, but I think talent-wise, South Carolina's a more talented football team and honestly should win this game. Now, I heard the line has been all over the place. I really haven't looked at it. Some people said it started at 7. Some said it started at 8. It's down to about 5.5. I haven't really gone in and looked at it. I'm going to be truly, truly honest with you. Maybe I should have. But anyway, it ain't time that I really start looking at lines yet. I kind of move late on lines where a lot of people say you should move early, and it didn't work out for me last week. I had a horrible week. Even on my picks, I was horrible. I think I got 5 right, and my dumbness is sitting here thinking I should have thought about it. I'm like, you know what? Ain't none of these teams with these big spreads really going to show a whole hell of a lot of their offense. Georgia didn't. LSU didn't. They're not putting anything else on tape for anyone to see. And I should have took the big lines instead of giving the big lines. My mistake, right? Idiot. Use your damn head sometimes. But we get into a lot of, and we'll go over some of the other SEC games that'll be played this week too. But I want to hand out game balls to my Gamecock players. I think overall we all know Bakari Swain, who got a game ball last week for special teams, he gets the game ball. Oh, and now before we get into this, I want to say my ball came from a good friend of mine named Terry Hale. Helped support the channel. I want to tell him thank you. And you guys can support the channel too. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, make comments, talk about. Hey, look, that comment section down there is for y'all to talk about your frustrations too. This ain't no place you come to just sugarcoat everything about everything that South Carolina does. If you're frustrated about it, right down in the comment section, we'll talk about it. You know what I mean? And I said and talk. I think a video yesterday, we hit a great number of views on the video. The channel grew a lot today because of you guys, and I want to thank you for that. But anyway, Bakari Swain, overall game ball, offense, Dre Jacobs, leading receiver, four catches, 57 yards, and that one touchdown we saw over the top. The other touchdown maker in the game was Oscar Edaway. Nephew just ran over a few people and got his touchdown early. Defense, typically you say you want to give a game ball to one person, right? That's how we normally see it. But I'm giving it to the defensive ends. We have 4 sacks, all came from defensive ends. Dylan Stewart, Des Yu, Quay Dodd, and Brian Thomas Jr. all had a sack apiece, 4 sacks. Defense did a great job again. Much better than anyone was giving us credit for. You would think since Bakari Swain got the overall game ball, We're going to go with Mason Love, who averaged 49 yards again punting. He was a little over 49, I think it was in game one. He was at 49 again. 5 punts, 245 yards. Congratulations, Mason Love, on your game ball from the Rooster Man. Congratulations to all you guys. We're getting ready to start packing in on Vandy. I'm really going to sit down tonight and probably or tomorrow sometime and look over the Virginia Tech Vandy game, kind of break it down a little bit better, see what Vandy's doing offensively, what I think we can do against it defensively. I'm no coach, but I have played a few ball games in my life, and I watched a few too. You get old like me, you watch a lot of football. That's what I love about this YouTube. I have like 4, I think last year, man, I did live streams for 12 hours on a Saturday. For my older subscribers that was around for my old channel, they knew on Saturdays, man, I'd crank that thing up, and we go about 12 hours of watching football and live streaming. I ain't doing that again. That added some years to my life, but we watched a lot of ball and we learned a lot of things about a lot of football teams last year by doing that. But I'm not doing that this year. I won't even live stream South Carolina games yet, just because I'm trying to enjoy the games a little bit more. When you're streaming, you can't quite enjoy the football game. You can't hear kind of what's going on and that type of stuff in the game. You're just sitting here talking about the game, which is, you can see what's going on, but you can't really hear what's going on. And it kind of messes with me sometimes because I really want to enjoy what they're talking about during the football game. If there's any issues, any problems, anyone's injured, the only way you figure that out is by them telling you. And if you can't hear the game, then you don't know. But anyway, love all you guys. Please like, subscribe. Hope you love Rooster Man. We're going to talk Gamecock football till people are tired of hearing us talk about Gamecock football. And we are going to break down Vandy. We're going to do our prop bets again for our players and see some stats. This week we should definitely have some lines on. We couldn't get a line last week when I made the video for any of our players. But we'll go back and get some lines, and we'll do some over-unders and that type of stuff with our players this week. Always have fun here, man. This is all about fun. Yes, fun. So we'll see. We'll see how we do this week. We'll talk about some SEC games too. We ain't talking about Florida. Florida. The embarrassment of the SEC last week. Outside of Kentucky losing to a SEC team, Ole Miss, Florida's the only team in the SEC that lost. Florida, the only team in the SEC outside of Kentucky that lost. Florida. You killed us, man. We're so tired of other people talking down to the SEC, and the Florida man just let us down by losing to USF. But we kind of knew that. We saw USF beat Boise, so it really wasn't that big a surprise. What's more surprising is Billy Napier still employed. But anyway, love all you guys. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your evening. Peace.